Okay, question 12. Find the gradient and y-intercept of the straight line 2x minus 5y plus 8 equals 0. If you're asked to find the gradient and the y-intercept, then the best idea is to put this equation into the gradient-intercept form, which means into the form y equals mx plus b. So that's what we want to do. We want to make y the subject. So let's have a look at this equation. For me, I think if the term with a y is negative, I think the easiest thing to do is to put that onto the right-hand side, because then you're just doing one step. So I would plus 5y to both sides here. So 2x plus 8 equals 5y. Alright, some of you prefer to work with the y on the left-hand side. Since those two things are equal to each other, I can simply turn that around and write 5y is equal to 2x plus 8. Okay, it's the same thing as saying half is equal to 0.5, or 0.5 is equal to half. It doesn't matter which way you write it. Okay, coming back to this equation. I want to get y on its own, so my last step is to divide by 5. So y equals 2x on 5 and 8 on 5. Alright, so my gradient is 2 on 5 and my y-intercept is 8 on 5. 1 mark for each of those. Okay, question B is a depreciation question. Car bought for $37,000 loses 20% of its value in 1 year after purchase. Find its value after 1 year. Okay, so to find its value after 1 year, it's just a matter of finding 20% of 37,000. Alright, so 20% of that is 7,400. So its value will be 37,000, subtract 7,400. And that's an answer of 29,600. Now, most people got that one okay. Part 2 caused a little bit of confusion. It then depreciates by 15% per annum each subsequent year. So it means each following year. So find the value of the car 4 years after purchase. Well, we found the value after 1 year in part 1. So there's only 3 more years that it needs to depreciate for. So our depreciation formula to find the value is the principal multiplied by 1 minus your interest rate over 100 to the power of n, so the number of years. Now, if we start with what it's valued at after 1 year, 29,600, 1 minus our interest rate is now 15%, but we only have to do that for 3 more years because we've already done 1 year. That's the mistake people made. Most people wrote 4 instead of 3. Alright, so just be really careful and think about that when you're doing it. So your final answer should be 18,178.10. 2 marks, 1 for that, 1 for that. Alright, moving on to some surds and rationalizing. So rationalize when there's just a single surd on the bottom. We have to multiply by root 6 over root 6. That gives us root 30 over 6, 1 mark. The second one, we have to multiply by the conjugate of this denominator, which means we multiply by 3 plus root 7 over 3 plus root 7. Now, most people knew that that's what you had to multiply by, but they didn't do the multiplication correctly. So you have to multiply both of these terms by what's on top. So 3 times 3 root 2 gives me 9 root 2. Root 7 times by 3 root 2 gives me 3 root 14. On the bottom, 3 times 3 is 9. Negative root 7 times positive root 7 is negative 7. And then just simplify the denominator, so 9 root 2 plus 3 root 14 on 2. That was the final answer. Okay, part D is solving some equations. The first one, most people were able to get almost there, but they just missed something at the end. So when you're solving this, divide both sides by 5, so we get m squared equals 25. And then do the square root of both sides. When you do the square root of a number, remember that there are two answers, positive or negative 5. Because it was only 1 mark, you had to have the positive and negative there to get the mark. Alright, question 2 I'll do down here. So x squared minus 6x minus 16 equals 0. You're looking for two numbers that multiply to give negative 16 and add to give negative 6. What multiplies to give 16? 4 and 4, 2 and 8. Okay, looks like 2 and 8 will probably work. What's negative and what's positive? We want to add to give negative 6, so we must have a negative 8 and a positive 2. So we get x plus 2, x minus 8 equals 0. So therefore, x plus 2 equals 0, x equals negative 2, or x minus 8 equals 0, so x equals 8. So negative 2 and positive 8 are the correct answers there. Alright, and then part 3, another quadratic equation. So remembering in this one, if you've got a number in front, like 3x squared, then you have to multiply that 3 by the number at the end. So what we're looking for here is two numbers that multiply to give negative 6 and add to give negative 1. So multiply to give 6 would be 3 and 2. And we want it to add to give negative 1, so negative 3 and positive 2. Okay, to solve this, we do 3x squared, remembering that the negative x now becomes negative 3x plus 2x minus 2 equals 0. Common factor of the first two terms is 3x, leaving us with x minus 1. Common factor of the second two terms is positive 2, leaving us with x minus 1. Taking out our common bracket of x minus 1 leaves us with 3x plus 2. And so x minus 1 equals 0 gives us x equals 1. 3x plus 2 equals 0 gives us 3x equals negative 2. And x equals negative 2 on 3. Okay, they're your two answers. And that's the end of question 12.